Hannah and Morgan headed toward the back of the manor. As they walked down the long hallway, purple flashes illuminated the walls from the lightning outside. Hannah placed one hand on the back doorknob and with her other hand grabbed cloaks from the row of hooks that stood waiting by the door. She passed one to Morgan, who had retrieved 2 large lanterns. "Matches?" Morgan asked searchingly. "Yes, got them." Hannah flipped the lid on a small metal container attached to the wall near a bench. "We may want these, too," she added, grabbing 2 strings from the hooks. From each one hung a small whistle. She had always wondered why there were whistles in such a peculiar place, but now she knew why. Striking a match swiftly on the metal container, Hannah lit each lantern, and the women stepped out into the rain, cloaks obscuring their heads. They each extended their lantern to illuminate the ground before them. The storm was swirling around them, catching the bottoms of their cloaks and thrashing the material to and fro around their ankles. They ran down the long cypress-lined pathway and through the pumpkin patch in the hard, driving rain toward the protection of the forest, their feet becoming wet as they sunk into the moist soil. Once under the thick canopy of trees, the rain didn't fall as hard, and they could look up a bit more easily to watch where they were going. A long, rolling thunder cracked across the sky, dragging on into the indefinite horizon far beyond the island. The winds whipped the sea that crashed into the rocks on the shore, but they were deep within the forest now, nestled within the depth of the murky, dark trees. "Jezebel!" Hannah shouted, echoed by Morgan. "Jezebel, are you out there?" Morgan yelled over the storm. "Watch the trees for signs," she said to Hannah. "They'll lead you back to the manor should you lose your way." Although Hannah had heard her, she realized she wasn't quite sure what Morgan meant by signs. Did she mean actual signs attached to the trees or something more obscure? Knowing her, it was likely the latter, but Hannah knew they didn't have time to discuss that right now. As they approached a fork in the path, Hannah motioned to Morgan that she was going to venture off to the left. Morgan nodded and turned off to the right. Each woman walked slowly and carefully, their feet crunching the fallen leaves beneath them, now becoming soggy from the relentless rain. "Jezebel!" Hannah yelled over and over as she slowly waved her lantern, casting a circular light around herself and into different parts of the forest. As she descended into the trees, she felt the passage of time slow the more she realized how cavernous and isolated the forest was. It was as if its darkness was enveloping her. Suddenly, Hannah saw movement. She began to follow, first with a quickened step, then at a faster pace, and then she found herself running. There was someone else in the forest with them. She couldn't see the person's face because it was obscured by the dark hood of a cloak. She chased after the shadowy figure. "Jezebel, is that you?" But no sooner had she come within reach of the figure than it collapsed on the ground in a large pile of leaves out of her reach. Hannah reached for the whistle around her neck and placed it to her mouth as she leaned in for a closer look. Taking a deep breath, she blew all the air she could muster. As her hands cleared away the leaves, her anticipation and anxiety rose at what she might be revealing. She felt her eyes widen. It was Jezebel. She dropped the whistle from her mouth. "Jezebel! Jezebel!" She sprang into action and shook Jezebel's arm vigorously, but there was no response. Hannah blew into her whistle firmly now to be sure Morgan would hear. It seemed forever, but she finally heard the sound of feet crashing through the leaves and the clanking of Morgan's lantern coming closer. She continued, guiding Morgan through the woody darkness with the shrill sound, as she desperately wiped away the layer of leaves obscuring her view. "Hannah, did you find something?" Morgan came bounding through the woods, branches crashing around her. "Oh, my dears!" she said as she approached, finding Hannah holding Jezebel in her arms on the ground.